So there are a few other teams, not just Gonzaga, who did really well coming out of the portal, and that's LMU, San Francisco, and Santa Clara. And both Santa Clara and San Francisco, USF, I think, did it in a way that was very similar to the way Gonzaga did it. And that was through retention. This was both of these programs did really well in keeping their guys around, which I think at this stage where we are in college basketball is almost just as much of an accomplishment as raiding the portal for a brand new roster, which obviously some WCC teams are still trying to do. Again, but you look at what these two teams have been able to do to this point. You look at who is coming back. USF brings back the likes of Malik Thomas, brings back Marcus Williams, brings back Duito Newberry, brings back Ryan Beasley. Jonathan Mobo is sitting in the NBA draft combine, and there's a possibility that he doesn't return. I think he does. I think he more than likely does. And then you add all of that to the mix of the two incomers, the two big incomers that they have. Jason Rivera Torres coming in from Vanderbilt, 6'6" guard, averaged 15.4 minutes for them. So this is a guy that USF saw earlier in last season. They did beat Vanderbilt on the road. Rivera Torres had a season high 20 against Alabama. This is a guy who is going to be able to put up points in a pretty significant way. And then also adding Carlton Lingard Jr., the transfer from UT San Antonio. A 7-foot forward is going to give them a lot on the offensive rebounding front and on the rim protection front. He averaged 1.5 blocks per game a year ago. And this is also a guy, at the very least, you have to respect on the three-point line. He was a 31% three-point shooter this past season. So this is someone who could also help stretch the floor. Remember, that was something that was not in Jonathan Mobo's game a year ago, was that ability to stretch the floor and hit that three-point shot. I think maybe he took one or two on the entire season. So that was something that was not part of his game, but is part of Lingard's name, which is going to be, I think, a critical thing for USF. You think about what they brought back. Again, they bring back the core, the key pieces of what was a 20-plus win team. Again, a team that was, in many cases, on the cusp of breaking through, but just could not do it. We're not going to rehash all the near misses that they did have, or all the opportunities that they did have, or that they did have and couldn't cash in. But now they come back with a team with a little bit more experience, who might have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder. They bring in a couple more experienced players to add to this mix. This is going to be a very good USF team again, a tough USF team again. And talking about teams that, again, that came out of the portal looking really, really good, USF has to be amongst those teams when you look at who came out of the portal well, mainly because of the retention and the key pieces, the key additions that they made to fill in some of the gaps that they did have. And the other one who did it very similarly is Santa Clara. I mean, this is a team that brings back, again, many of its key pieces from a year ago. Christoph Tilley, Brenton Napper, Johnny O'Neill, Cam Tung. Adama Ball is going to be participating in the G League Elite Camp with a chance to join the NBA Combine. We'll see how he does there, but he's another guy I kind of expect to be back. When Santa Clara posted their poster on social media about like, oh, we're back, blah, 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 after the portal was closed last week, Adama Ball was on that poster. So I think that would lead many to believe that they expect him to be back next year, this coming year. And if he's back, this group is back, and then you add Carlos Stewart, the return of Carlos Stewart to this group, a former all WCC first teamer. This is now a Santa Clara team who also is going to look just as strong as maybe some of those other teams in the WCC. I think it's hard to say, like, with USF, with Santa Clara, with LMU, like the competition for, oh, they're going to win a league title, like maybe in some other leagues you would say, because the top of this league is just so tough to break through. But I think there's something to be said about maybe there's an opportunity to break into that top two. I think St. Mary's, while I still think they're still solid, they're going to be fine, uh, there is going to be some question marks about how do they replace Aiden Mahaney? How do they replace Josh Jefferson? Are they going to be able to replace them at the same efficiency level by the time we get to conference play? And that's where I think we're going to start to see some of those question marks. Now, the St. Mary's team, obviously, a year ago, seemed to have no problem weathering a tough early storm. They still have some recruiting to do as well to fill a couple of extra additional open spots. But the Santa Clara team looks to be about as strong as anyone. Then remember, they're one of the only teams that knocked off Gonzaga last year in WCC play. They also showed what they could do. They were capable of beating some of those better teams, what USF could not do a year ago. The only problem they had was that they couldn't also close the deal on some of the games they should be winning. They should be able to get over on, which is what USF did. USF handled their business against the teams they're supposed to beat. And that did not always happen for Santa Clara. So another year of experience for this group, bringing in another all WCC performer, bringing back an all WCC performer, even if he had a off year at LSU a year ago. This is also looking like another team that has come out of the portal really strong and is going to also be in that conversation of doing some damage in the WCC tournament, and also I think going to be, at least early on, going to be in the conversation on that bubble line for the NCAA tournament.